Good morning and welcome to Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network. That is TOS Television. My name is Merciful Ajinomo. And of course, we have Adebayo Fajimi in the house to analyze some stories. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
We have a couple of newspapers this morning, and we'll just begin from, of course, the Nation newspaper. The big story is Bandits Boko Haram Pact behind renewed insecurity. The writer says they collaborated to attack train killed in Plateau, says federal government. And that story continues on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. According to this update, it seems as though there's now some sort of synergy and partnership between the so-called bandits and Boko Haram, as the federal government has said, according to this update. What's your take on the update?
Whatever the federal government is saying is just rhetoric, and it's really what is happening is really showing the high level of ineptitude of those who are in the place of leadership. Because I've read what Minister of Information said, Mr. Lai Mohammed, concerning this situation. So we have heard over and over how they told us that there are some people who are even sponsoring these people, who are behind this particular problem the country is facing. But so far, what has the government do? So what have they done? They just come, every now and then they keep coming and telling us that, okay, this is what we are doing. We are making efforts. We are trying to ensure that we bring this to an end. But yet the thing is just rising every now and then. So this really shows to every Nigerian that the leadership is not up to the task, and so whatever they are saying is just a rhetoric.
All right, that story is on the Nation newspaper, continues on page 4. Just from the very top, INEC voids 1.1 million voter registration, says timetable sacrosanct. That is on page 25 of the Nation paper. Police pension fraud, ex-director to refund 22.9 billion naira. And the writer says 6-year jail term affirmed. And Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge tolling resumes tomorrow. That is on page 27. Fayemi Olawepo Hashim to join presidential ticket race. That is on page 25 of the Nation newspaper. And just underneath that, we see cracks over zoning, consensus deepening in PDP. That is on page 28 of the Nation newspaper. We move over to the Blueprint newspaper, and the big story is continuous voter registration. On just there, we see over 1.3 million invalid PVCs detected, worrisome. And then that's coming from INEC, talking about the voters registration. 1.8 million printed ready for collection, 106,280 Ekiti Osun voters disqualified. Vows to prosecute culpable staffers. UN delegation meets Adamu, 6 inclusive election, and senators beg APC national chair for return ticket. Over 1.3 million invalid PVCs detected, worrisome, by INEC, and this is a time where there's all hands are on deck to ensure that people are a part of the election process. What do you think this data will show for the 2020 general elections?
It's really going to affect the popular will, and let me perhaps say it's going to really affect the will. I mean, it is really going to affect the rights of people, especially at this time when we are experiencing voters apathy, in electioneering process. Because if you remove this huge amount of number from the number of votes that we are seeing, when everybody goes to the poll, you can see that it is very huge. And according to the data given, regarding Osun and Ekiti state election, you can see that a lot of people already have, disenfranchised themselves, whether by registering twice, or by giving fake or incomplete data, to the commission. And that this is a very critical area that every Nigerian, needs to really pay attention to, because, all this ranting and aspersion we are casting on social media on everybody's aspiration will not really, help us or affect us positively in any way. Because one, you don't win election on the social media, and whatever aspersion you are casting will not have any effect. The only right you have is to go to the polls and cast your ballot, for your preferred candidate. So whatever argument, whatever controversy, whatever your opinion is, it will not count except you go to the polls and cast your ballot. But now that a lot of people will not be able to do that, to exercise their franchise, of course, they will just keep wallowing and begin to complain because they don't have that right, or they will not have that right, to go to the polls and exercise their franchise. And this is just a very critical sector that I want to encourage Nigerians to focus on, to ensure that they go to the polls and appoint or elect leader of their choice.
Still on Blueprint newspaper from the very top, Insecurity. Bandits now partner dislodged Boko Haram terrorist. That's coming from federal government. The writer says to ensure release of victims of train attack, reveal identity of culprit. That's on page 6 of the Blueprint. Beside the picture of the day, Senate set 3.019 trillion naira revenue target for customs. Approves 369.04 billion naira 2022 budget for agency. And then just underneath that paper there we see NLC gives federal government 21 days to resolve ASU other unions crisis. That is on page 5. On page 7, Ishaku boosts Taraba women empowerment with 700 million naira grant. And that is it for the Blueprint newspaper this morning. And then on the Daily Trust newspaper, the big story says how bright to be, 28 others die in Sokoto boat mishap. The writer says village head loses 5 children, niece, 2 in-laws, accident second in 3rd month, says LG chair, victims given mass burial. And just underneath picture of the day, APC presidential ticket, Buhari's body language unsettles Osinbajo, Tinubu, Amechi, others. Writer says president in a tight corner and parties set to release timetable for primaries. What do you think the Daily Trust is referring to when they say President Muhammadu Buhari is in a tight corner, talking about APC presidential ticket?
Yeah, because if you look at the category of people who have declared their ambition, they are people who we can say they are very close, to President Muhammadu Buhari. Talk of the national leader of the party, vice president, talk of Amechi, and a host of others. So now, in a situation like this, the question is, who do you really want to support? Because if you support somebody, there is no way you not want to offend someone else. So he's in a very tight, corner, and his body language now does not really show who he really wants to support, even though he will have his own preferred candidate, in his mind. So, but as a father and the leader of the party, I think it behoves, he display a high level of wisdom to ensure that number one, whoever is is pitching his tent with, will not, is whatever the decision is making as regard his own choice will not negatively affect
the rest.
The rest people, so that at the end of the day, everybody goes to the pool. They go to the pool as as undivided house. To ensure that they win come 2023.
All right. Of course, we see that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And Nigerian News Direct big story is bandits dislodged Boko Haram members unite against Nigeria. Just from the very top, customs hand over 103 million naira worth of cannabis sativa to NDLEA in Ogun State. And then State Assembly speakers, deputies meet in Lagos, assure support for Tinubu's presidential bid. Zenith Bank announces appointment of new directors to its board. That's on page 16. Still on Nigerian News Direct, Oni of Ife calls for Yoruba unity as Olomu visits palace. And then federal government directs NRC to hand over passengers identification to technology firm. And Nitstar partners now send it on nanosending system order tech. That is on page 13 of the Nigerian News Direct paper. On the Punch, the big story, security agent aiding bandit, alleged reps demand NSA ministers sacking. And that is on pages 2 and 8 of the Punch. From the very top, federal government's commercial loans rise by 31%, hit $14.67 billion. That is on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. And the Business Day newspaper is federal government moves to curb Nigerians' power woes. That is on the front page, continues on page 30. Don't forget you can stay updated on our website www.tostvnetwork.com. Thank you so much, Adebayo, for joining us today.
Thank you for
And thank you, viewers, for staying tuned to Nigeria. Now, we'll come away again tomorrow. Until then, bye for now. Stay safe.